So now in this lesson, we're going to go over the channel flow in a bit more detail, because that's something really important that you need to get the grasp of early on. So I've recorded some audio here just so that I can select it, because you'll notice in this window here, when I don't have anything selected, it's giving me MIDI through options. But as soon as I select a region of audio, and you're going to record your own audio very soon, it gives me these options. So I can mute it, I can loop it, I can adjust the gain here as well. And then down here we've got a few more handy options like reverse. Yes, no, test, yes, no. And I can adjust the speed. 1, 2, test, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, test. And then in this section, I can change the icon. So if this was vocals, I might want to change it to an icon like that. I can then turn flex on or off, which we're going to cover in a lot more detail later. But they're the first two sections. So following onwards from that, we then have our channel layout. Now, if you click here, you can adjust the settings. This is for certain audio devices where you can adjust the gain within Logic. I can then add an EQ. This little meter here will show gain reduction if we start using compression, which we're going to go over later on in the course. It will show how much gain reduction in here. And then EQ, if we adjust this to say I wanted to make my voice sound a bit less nasal and a bit clearer and less bassy, I could do that. Again, we're going to cover this in a lot of detail. Now you can see the curve there. 1, 2, test, 1, 2. So these are all our plugins, and we can then add more effects and other processes. Here we have a send. So think of this as the audio coming in from the top and working its way through this channel. And that's how the signal flows. So it goes in, we can adjust the gain here, we can then add EQ and compression, and then after it's been equalized and compressed and any other effects we add to it, we can then send it somewhere else in Logic. So I could send it to another channel. And now if we go to the mixer, you can see it's on this aux channel. So if I hit play, 1, 2, test, 1, 2, make sure that sends turn up. 1, 2, test, 1, 2. Watch this channel here, it's now getting a signal. 1, 2, test, 1, 2. So now we have two versions of this voice. 2, test, 1, 2, 1. So what we're doing is just demonstrating here how the signal flows through Logic. So now it's being sent there, but it carries on through here. So it's still coming out of this channel as well. So after it's been sent to anywhere else that we want to send it to, and I'll explain why you'd want to do that later on, we can then adjust where it goes out to. So here I can send it to a different channel so that it's actually going output to a different channel, or I can just send it to the stereo output. And if I change this to another bus, for example, now instead of sending it, it's actually changing the output. So with this one, it sends a duplicated version, whereas with the output, it sends the whole channel to this one. So we'll no longer have anything on this channel. Have a listen. 1, 2, test, 1, 2. So now you can see it's coming to here. And if I mute this, we don't hear any audio. So after the output, we can also assign groups. And these are mixing groups, and we'll talk more about that later. And then automation is after that. So I can add all kinds of automation here. And again, we're going to cover that in detail. After that, I can decide where this panning goes to. Now this pan, confusingly, is actually before the output. So if I pan it to the right, it will also be to the right in this aux channel, and it would also be to the right in this send. And then finally, I have the fader, and this adjusts the volume of the output. And you can also see it doing the same thing there. So that's it. So it goes from the top to the bottom, but these two are kind of considered the whole way. So if it's panned right, that will be effective in the send and the output. And if the volume's right down, depending on how you've got these set, it might be pre or post, which is something we'll talk about later. But most of the time, if the fader is down, you won't get anything from your sends or your output. So just start to think of that signal flow from the top to the bottom.